about yourself.
I'm Jim Taylor, 59 years old, recently moved here to Manhattan from Louisville, Kentucky. I have a daughter. She's 26 years old. She lives in New York City. She loves to come visit Manhattan. We usually go out to the Ville and have a pretty good time when she comes to visit. I'm the general manager here at Colbert Hills Country Club. I earn somewhere in the six-figure range, and I love my job and I love it here in Manhattan.
How safe one feels in the environment in which they live plays a big role on their physical activity. If an individual does not feel safe, they are less likely to go outside and be active because they fear for their safety. However, if one does feel fairly safe in their neighborhood, they are more likely to get out and be active. Do you feel safe where you live?
Do I feel safe? Yes. I live over on Little Kitten Avenue. It's about 30 seconds from my job. It's in a great neighborhood, great community. Everyone's real nice. I wouldn't have any problem letting my grandkids play around outside and not being worried about anything connected. Oh yeah. There's a lot of people out jogging, walking, biking, walking their dog. All the neighbors are real nice. It's a very active community. Everyone likes each other, and it's a real nice place to just, step outside your house and feel safe and feel like you're welcome, and great community.
Walkability refers to how easy it is to walk in the place one lives. It includes the status of sidewalks as well as what surrounds the area they live in and how easy it is to walk places. The better the walkability, the more likely one is to walk, thus increasing physical activity. Education level is a very important factor in being physically active, as it is tied with social class. The more educated an individual is, the more likely their social class is going to turn out to be. Moving up the social class in turn will also lead to better physical activity, as individuals will have more resources available to them, like private golf courses or private gyms. What is your education level?
My education level, I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science degree from the University of Louisville. Go Cards.
How has your education helped you in the position that you currently hold?
I think it's helped me a lot. Growing up, we weren't nearly as privileged as I am now, but I think once I got my education and once I learned, part of my education was learning people skills as well. I think that helped me go from, maybe lower on the social ladder to a much higher position than I'm at now. And I think between those two things, it made me a better person and better for the job that I'm at now.
Introduce yourself.
So I'm Zach Smith. I have a PhD in kinesiology, and I'm an expert in physical activity and public health.
What have they found?
So in fact, the CDC has found that individuals who don't have a high school diploma are expected to die 9 years sooner than those with a college diploma.
You shouldn't have to do with it.
So according to that agency, the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality, education highly affects social economic status, and in fact there's a positive correlation between social class, education, and health.
One's occupation can tell a lot about their lives. It determines their income and social class as well as the physical activity they partake in. There are many studies out there regarding socioeconomic position and physical activity. Generally, the higher the socioeconomic position, thus usually a higher job classification, the more physically active an individual is. What is your social class, and do you feel that social class plays a role on your physical activity?
Oh, I definitely think it does. I think I'm upper middle class, so for me, like the rec center. I love going to the rec. I love working out, so I budget that in. It's only $40 a month for me, so not a huge problem for me. But if you're not as privileged as I am, it may be kind of an issue to be able to afford that membership. So I definitely think it plays a huge role in physical activity.
Marshall.
Sure. So once I worked on a study with Scott Marshall, and we looked at things like race and social class and their effect on physical activity. So what we found that men with lower levels of education and a lower household income had a higher prevalence of physical inactivity. As well with that lower socioeconomic position individuals, they participated in less leisure time physical activities, things like golf, racquetball, things like people play, things like that.
McNeil.
Sure. So my study with McNeil found strikingly similar results. We found that high levels of education, as well as income and job classification, are more likely to engage in healthy behaviors. Golf, reduced tobacco use, just higher physical activity, and a proper diet. And then in general, most research has found that there is a positive correlation between socioeconomic position and physical activity.
I recently moved from Louisville, Kentucky. I managed a golf course there, and while managing one there, I met Jim Colbert, and he invited me to come here and be the manager here at Colbert Hills. So I accepted the job, and I'm loving Manhattan, Kansas so far.
It is widely believed that persons employed in jobs demanding long working hours are at a greater risk of physical inactivity than other workers, primarily because they have less leisure time available to undertake physical activity. Results from a study by Angrave and Woodson found no significant associations between long working hours and the incidence of healthy levels of physical activity were uncovered once other exogenous influences on activity levels were controlled for. These findings suggest there is no trade-off between long working hours and physical activity.
My work schedule, I work 8 to 8, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then I work some on Mondays, but not a whole lot, usually not past 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And then I usually work some on Sundays, but usually don't go in until about noon and work until about 5 because I usually go to church in the mornings.
Physically active you are?
Absolutely. I do a lot of things throughout the day. I'm up and about most of the day. I don't usually sit at my desk because that'd be terrible. I help out with the food and beverage people. They usually need a lot of help, especially for having a big party with a lot of guests coming. You know, they could use the extra hands, and I love to help out, so I usually jump up and volunteer whenever I can. So definitely very physically demanding.
How do you feel that you can fit physical activity into your work schedule? Is it hard? Is it easy to do?
Well, it's not easy. You know, working 8 to 8, 4 days a week, that doesn't leave too much time. So you just have to be committed and just have to be willing to get up early and do it because you know that it's good for you. And so I usually just allot that time Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and it's not too fun getting up early, but I know that I have to do it and I enjoy doing it. So it's not easy, but if you're willing to put the work in, it's not too hard.
Having physical activity facilities available to individuals will more than likely lead them to becoming more physically active based on the convenience of them. There's also a social integration aspect associated with the presence of physical activity facilities. So, for example, an individual living in a nice neighborhood composed of upper social class individuals will have a private gym strictly for their use. Their neighbor participates in the morning yoga class at this exclusive neighborhood gym, and they invite you to join them, so you do, therefore increasing the physical activity each individual is receiving. To you, and why?
How important is physical activity to me? Very important. I get up 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5:30, and go work out at the local rec center. And I feel that it gives you a clear mind, it keeps you healthy, and it keeps you focused throughout the day. So I'd say it's pretty varied. The course is very large and very hilly, so it's very physically demanding. So most of our golfers use a cart, especially when they play 18 holes. So it doesn't really matter what kind of physical shape you're in, because you're going to have to use a cart either way. But usually most people are fairly fit, because even walking to your ball and back to the cart is pretty demanding on these hills. So I'd say fairly fit overall.
Different activities appeal to different genders. For example, golf is a relatively male-oriented sport. This would affect the activities that certain genders participate in, and ultimately whether or not they are physically active at all.
It's a public club, so anyone can join. Membership fee usually ranges between $170 and $225 a month. That includes golf carts, access to the restaurant that's located in the clubhouse, the pro shop, all that fun stuff.
Ability to pay for physical activity means that the individual is capable of providing themselves with more resources to better their health. Availability of pay can be anything ranging from the $40 month rec fee to a $225 per month fee to use the golf course. These paid resources, of course, bettering the individual's health as they are increasing their physical activity levels. Activity of your members.
To improve physical activity of the members? Well, we currently have some steps in place to build not a huge rec center, but just somewhere with maybe a couple treadmills and a couple machines, so that, people that come and golf, maybe they want to get some little bit of a workout in when they're done. I think that would help, because it's in the same place that they would come to be golfing, and that way they don't have to go to 2 different places. So there are some steps being made to make that happen, so hopefully that can happen soon.
The ideas Jim had pertain to 2 of the following factors: worksite fitness programs and availability of community physical activity. For example, Jim talked about adding the gym. Worksite fitness programs allow for employees to work out in the same place as they work. An employee could easily get a workout in before or after work, or maybe even on their lunch break. This saves a trip to the gym or to some other place to do their activity. This is also going to help others who live in the surrounding area around Colbert Hills, giving them a closer access to physical activity facilities. As far as availability of community physical activities, Colbert Hills is constantly having community events. This factor pertains to the events that take place in the communities where one lives. If the activities like fun runs and warrior dashes, etc., take place in their communities, they are probably more likely to participate in them, and compared to if they had to travel to participate.
So having an education also means that they are just exposed to more resources, better resources, just in general around their work and their home. So for example, golf, that's a big thing that people with more resources will go out and do for physical activity. As well, some companies will have gyms set up in their place of employment, which is really nice. On their lunch break, before work, after work, they can go work out, so they're going to be healthier there. As well, it's just all this is based on their education and social life. So the higher up you are, the healthier you're going to be.
Outcomes of people.
So some social structures that will affect health outcomes of people. You have a couple just off the bat. You have environment, education level, social class, and those are the 3 main ones. There are a couple other minor structures that affect that, but those are the major structures that affect health outcome.